From conference room number 2 at the Government Administration Building in Phillipsburg, welcome to this Department of Community Development, Family and Humanitarian Affairs information session, themed Strengthen the Pillars, Celebrating Families with host Simona Morton.
Hello everyone, I am Simona Morton. Welcome to this info session being presented by Community Development, Family and Humanitarian Affairs, CDFHA, headed by Mrs. Chantal George Prunevelt and Women's Desk. This forms part of their activities for their first annual event for Families Day International 2021 under the theme Strengthening the Pillars, Celebrating Families. Now for this first session, we're going to be looking at the importance of families. And to have a discussion today, I have the Cotton family. I say welcome to you, Mr. Roy Cotton Jr. and Dr. Nicole Ername Francis Cotton.
Thank you.
Welcome to this info session.
Thank you for your warm welcome.
Thank you very much for having us.
You're most welcome. Now, how I'm going to begin today is that I'm going to just draw a bit from both of your bios, and then you're going to tell us a little bit more about yourselves. I'm going to begin with you, Mr. Cotton. A quick glimpse at your bio states that you are a motivational speaker, you work with youth, and you also host a radio program. Could you tell us just a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Thank you very much for having us on the program today. It's a pleasure to be here. Myself, in a nutshell, Roy Cotton Jr., a son of the soil of St. Martin. And as you said it rightfully, a motivational speaker. I do take pleasure in motivating persons, maybe young people, maybe persons in organizations. Because as you know today, the time that we're living in, motivation you can never get enough of. In terms of radio, I've been doing radio for over 14 years. And quite correctly, I host a successful radio show called Love and Inspiration, which is also syndicated internationally. And it's really all about building stronger relationships and inspiring lives. So that's really bringing, persons in relationships, whether it be family, whether it be marriage, or even children, to a level of really having strong relationships. I love working with people. I love motivating people, and happily married, and here today to share with your audience all about building stronger families.
Alrighty, some good stuff. I love your bio filled with so many things. Now for you, Dr. Ername, your bio states that you are a co-author, an author, you're a coach in varied degrees. So tell us a little bit more about you, the person.
Okay, so Ername, which means miracle worker, Nicole, which means victory of the people. And if I look over the course of my life, I could say I'm a combination of both. I believe in empowering, enlightening, and transforming people's lives. And so throughout the trajectory of my life, from even a teenager up until this point, the work that I have done encapsulates transformation, empowerment. So Victorious Living, which is the vision that God gave to me in 2002, is about empowering, enlightening, and reconciling persons to God first, to each other, and developing our communities in such a way that it brings about transformation. So in my coaching, it's coaching as a certified holistic health coach. So we have just started a series actually on helping our community to become more healthy, holistically, and it's been going quite well. I am a certified lifestyle prescription medicine coach. So that means we go to the very root causes of what affects a person, so they can transform. And ever since doing that particular training, the results with my clients have been phenomenal, and seeing transformation take place in a very short time. So everything that I do, it's intentional about developing my skill sets so that the people that come to us, they get even more than what they bargained for. So, and in addition to that, our leadership training, which yourself and many from your organization have benefited from over the past several years, it gives us great delight to see how people's lives have been transformed by the information that they receive and the enlightenment that takes place. So in a nutshell, that's my life. It's about transformation. So whatever I do, it's with that in mind.
Okay, I love it. And you have a full package.
Correct.
And I like the fact that you mentioned that in your coaching, you go to the roots of the issue.
Correct.
And that's also pivotal when you're addressing issues. So
Yes.
that's very good. I also learned the secret for where Victoria's Living, the name originates from your name.
Well, partly. The other part is really from a vision that God gave me many years ago before coming back to St. Martin, where he's returning for a victorious church and so a victorious people.
Yes.
And as a result of that, that never left me. So when the vision came, when I returned to St. Martin, and in 2001, after just coming for vacation, and I saw a shift that I could not believe.
Okay.
Because before going to do my master's in counseling with a focus on marriage and family therapy, we had a vibrant youth culture in St. Martin. I had another organization called Socially Acceptable.
Okay.
And young people were doing well, despite the challenges. So when returning and looking on the blocks, and I'm seeing young men sitting on the blocks and no lights in their eyes, I'm like, what has happened in a space of 2 years? So that was what really fueled the vision when I went to God and I said, Lord, I know I'm supposed to go back to the States, but if it's your will, close the door for me to go back and let me stay. And that was his will. And so it's now been 19 years, and next year we'll make 20. So that was really the impetus of it.
Awesome. And thank you for your contribution to the community and
You're
to
welcome.
the youths and young persons.
Thank you.
Now to zone in on our focus for today, the importance of family. I'd like for you to define for me, what is family? What really is the essence of the word family?
Would you like
Who wants
go?
to go first?
Are you-
Well, yeah, okay. Well, really, when you talk about family, you're talking about, or society normally looks at a family as the nuclear family, which is having children, having a mother and father. But because of how society is today and the dynamics that's taking place, the shift has happened, where, of course, the foundations happens and takes place in the nucleus family. But today, with changes, you have blended families, you have step families, you have even one single parent family. And the most important thing is, when you think about families, about where there's love, where there's integrity, where there's togetherness. And along the way, we still do have family structures, but because of how today in the modern day 21st century, the dynamics have changed in that. So sometimes it's so challenging to find that you have a family that is really what we deem to say that this is the nucleus family.
Okay, and having just mentioned the various family structures, would you say, in your view, in your professional view, is there an ideal family structure?
You would love to have an ideal family structure. And I know that at the end of the day, when you're in a family yourself, you would want that family to be where it's peaceful, where there's no disputes, where there's togetherness. But that's not always the case. As I just mentioned, there's so many things that is at play right now in our society that changes that. So to really have an ideal family is basically really the efforts that has to be made by the individuals to make it a family as such.
So I'd like to add to what
Yes,
he
of
said.
course.
In terms of an ideal family, I mean, God instituted the family. So the family was designed for the man and woman together with their children, because it was designed really to emulate his love for us. So ideally, that really would be the ideal family. We don't live in an ideal world, however, you know, and so we have many variants of that. But in any case, whether it's blood family, adopted, spiritual family, the elements of it should have wholeness. So relationships should be loving, caring. The types of manipulation that we currently see in families really is not a prescribed method of having family relations. And so in answer to that question, I would say it starts with the individual. Because if you have a whole individual coming together with another whole individual, you have a whole family. But if you have individuals who have no idea who they are, they're insecure, right? And they are challenged in their own upbringing, and so they bring that baggage, then it impacts the entire family.
Amazing. And so with those comments, we are going to take a break. I love what Mr. Roy Cotton stated about the family being a place where there is love. And so we are going to be right back for more of a conversation with the Cotton family on the importance of the family structure.
Strengthen the pillars, celebrating families. This is a Department of Community Development, Family and Humanitarian Affairs information session.
Vaccines saves approximately 2 to 3 million lives every year and are therefore one of the most effective medical intervention ever invented. A vaccine protects you, but additionally it also protects your family, friends, and vulnerable people in your community. The more people get vaccinated, the harder it will be for the virus to spread. When enough people are vaccinated to create herd immunity, it can put an end to the pandemic. The government can then scale down the coronavirus restrictions and the tourists can return, which is vital for our economy. The COVID-19 vaccine will be free of charge for everyone. It is not mandatory to take the vaccine, but it is highly encouraged. If you have questions about your own specific situation, discuss them with your doctor. In the meantime, we must be responsible and keep practicing the COVID-19 safety measures like wearing your mask, washing hands, and maintaining social distance. This public service announcement has been brought to you by the Department of Collective Preventive Services and the Department of Communication.
Strengthen the pillars, celebrating families. This is a Department of Community Development, Family and Humanitarian Affairs information session.
And we're back. We've been having a dialogue with the Cotton family, Mr. Roy Cotton Jr. and Dr. Erna Mae Francis Cotton. So let's just jump back into the conversation, on the importance of the family unit. I'm speaking to professionals, so I am sure that whatever you have to share would be beneficial. What would you say are the principles that enables a family to be one that is thriving?
Okay, go ahead.
Let me go ahead. Okay. I want to share some research that I looked up.
Certainly.
All right. And I believe it's really important to share this, not only from a family level, but on a policy level.
Okay.
Because our families are not in a vacuum. Our families exist within community. And in order for families to thrive, the communities in which they exist have to be amenable to their thriving. And we have exceptions, where some families are really resilient. And so regardless of the community they're in, they're going to survive, they're going to thrive. But for the majority, they need an environment that is going to support them. So I found this on, I forgot which is the website. I forgot the website, but it's some research that was done on the core principles of development that can help us to redesign policy and practice of having resilient families. And they said that recent advances in science of early childhood development offer us an opportunity to solve some of society's most challenging problems, from the widening disparities in school achievement and economic productivity to costly health problems across the lifespan. And why is that important? Because infants, toddlers, and pregnant women, right, if they are not given the right material emotionally for development, it's going to impact the lifelong trajectory of those individuals. So let's say a pregnant woman, she's having conflict with her husband or boyfriend, or like what we find happening so often, she ends up carrying the child by herself. She didn't make the child by herself, but she carries the child by herself. And then she ends up with lots of emotional issues. So then what happens is she cannot respond effectively to the child that she gives birth to. She's carrying that emotional baggage. And with that baggage, it then creates now an insecure child. Their insecure attachments. He or she doesn't even know who the father is, right? So then eventually what happens, because they've also found that single parent homes, especially with mothers, tend not to be as financially off. So economic issues now impact the growth of this child. Yeah. They have expectancies like, wow, why did I end up in such a household? I see so-and-so doing this and doing that. They're having this and they're having that, and I'm not. It creates a whole paradigm in their minds that impacts the way they relate to others. So there are core skills that they will need eventually, that if someone doesn't step up from the community, a loving male model or extended family to support this woman who's raising this child, is going to negatively impact it. And we're seeing that over and over again in our community. So what is necessary is that we have policymakers as well who recognize that if our economics are not right, if the healthcare situation isn't right, if we are not preparing our children or leaving a legacy for them, our environment that's going to stimulate their growth, then we are stunting our entire community. And so when we don't take stock of that, we are causing our entire community to flounder.
Okay, so would you say then that a thriving family makes for a thriving community? A
thriving family makes for a thriving community.
Okay, so what are some of the steps that, a single mother, she's on her own, like you just gave an example, a new couple, young kids, they want to have a thriving family. What are some of the things, some of the steps, some of the practices that they can put into place to get that result?
So number one, associate themselves with healthy examples of family, so that the child can get the kind of support and modeling, because modeling is very important, that they can see, these people care for each other. They are communicate effectively with each other, because that's another problem. When families don't know how to communicate or respond effectively, then the child or the environment does not prepare them with the skills necessary to negotiate, the skills to be able to go into the workforce. So having those skills, personal development, is very critical. So as a mother or as a father, personal development, number one is key. Because if we're going to fix anything, we have to start with us, number one. I'll let you go ahead.
I can concur on that. And the other is basically finding persons that you can trust, because trust is so very important to be able to build on. Because if there's no trust at the end of the day, then, you know, you're again feeling abandoned. You're feeling that you're on your own. Who can I trust to talk about how I'm feeling and to get the support that I need? And when we look around in society today, that's so very vital to be able to find institutions or even individuals who are willing to do that. Because as Dr. Erna May stated, it starts from that aspect, from the beginning, that if there's not that emotional stronghold, then, you know, then you have challenges later.
And I also want to add stress management. Yeah. Because we live in a very highly stressed society.
Yeah.
I mean, people come here for relaxation, but when you examine the lives of lots of families, you see they're under a lot of stress.
Absolutely.
And so we have stress relievers all around us.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have the beach. Not enough of us go to the beach as often as we can, because the environment of the beach itself is a stress-reducing environment. There are isotopes in the environment. The sea itself is enriching. I call it Dr. C.
Yes.
Just go to the beach, right? I mean, there's also going in nature, other parts, taking a walk. It's so important. Cultivating time for each other as a family. Sitting at the dinner table, which we grew up doing, you know, go back to the dinner table and sit together, have conversation. Those are very important skills to have, because later on, these children, as they grow up with these healthy examples, they'll be able to become healthy themselves and produce healthy families, and then we have a healthy community.
Okay, so we have a prescription straight from the doctor. One of the things that you could begin to do right away is take a trip to the beach as a family together, you know, build trust, spend time, and parents, you model, you know, that behavior that your children should be demonstrating community-wide.
Correct.
Just to switch things up a bit, the global pandemic, we've all been affected by it. In your view, how would you say that it has affected family lives?
Well, from what I can say and what I've observed actually from even, you know, neighbors of ours, when we were in the lockdown, I recognized that it was more togetherness from the families that I saw, really spending times even going walking together and having time out in the garden, you know, playing games. That really brought a togetherness aspect during the lockdown. But at the same time, we know that by being in the same close proximity for a long time and not being able to do what you would normally do, that also brought the impact of frustration. It also brought the areas of abuse, because if you have a couple that, you know, is together the whole time and there's no space, it brings up things that maybe they've never talked about before by just one little comment. So it had its positive and negative experiences or aspects during the pandemic. And I don't know if there's anything else you want to add on.
Yeah, going back again to what I said about starting with yourself. I am the firm believer, from my own experience and from others, that it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it. And if you are in a place where you are able to be resilient because of your attitude and your mindset, whatever comes your way, you're going to be able to stand. And that's what we need, resilience as a community, and we can build that together.
Okay. So it's been a wonderful discussion, you know, an important one on the importance of family. Quick final comments on strengthening the pillars, celebrating families.
I would say to the men in our society who's watching and our fathers, I really want to encourage you to really embrace the opportunity and the gift that God has given you to be a father. and to really be there for your children and to really make that difference, because your male presence, being a father, is so very vital. So I want to really encourage you to step into that role wholeheartedly. And for all who's watching this episode today, just to know that God has created a family with a very important purpose for society, and want to encourage you to really embrace that so that we can have beautiful families and a beautiful community. Thank you so much.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Mr. Roy
You're welcome.
Cotton Jr. and Dr. Erna May. It was a pleasure having this discussion with you today.
Thank you.
And so that's it for us for our first info session on strengthening the pillars, celebrating families. I am Simona Morton. Thank you for joining us, and see you soon for our second info session on the importance of families.